Hey everyone, this is Corey with Stafford's EDC, and today we're taking a look at the Vosteed knives Thornton. This is designed by fellow YouTuber Wayne Sharp World. I will try to remember to link his channel down below. But this is one of Wayne's designs, and his first one to market, I do believe. So he partnered with Vosteed to bring you these guys here. This particular version is $80, currently out of stock on the Vosteed website, but it may be in stock at retailers. We'll talk about that in 1 second. But this particular model is micarta, and then you have a 14C 28N blade, so a pretty budget-friendly piece here. And coming in at 80 bucks, it's not gonna break the bank. Comes under $100, so I feel pretty comfortable calling this a budget knife. Now this has a sheep's foot blade, obviously, flat grind, a little bit of a swedge going on, and this is a button lock, which you have seen by now. The full micarta handles here. You can see the backspacer is also micarta, and then there's just a little support put in at the bottom of metal. And your pocket clip is not reversible. That is right hand carry only. You do have skeletonized liners in there, which you can see at this angle. You can see the holes in there. So it helps keep the weight down a little bit on this guy, though it does weigh 3.31 ounces. And for overall specs, you are looking at 3.18 inches on the blade, 7.52 inches overall, and our blade stock thickness is 0.138 inches. It's kind of a pretty run-of-the-mill size. You're not going too high or too low. This is very much dead in the middle. The only way it could be a little more, like in the middle or average, I would say, is if the blade was exactly 3 inches. I think that would pretty much make it a basic, you know what you're expecting, anyone could have made it type of knife. But this is Wayne's design coming from Vosteed, so they distinguish it a little bit with that extra blade length and with, his overall design flair. As I did say, this is out of stock currently on the site, but their retailers might have it, and there are a few versions of this available. There's this version here, and if I look briefly at the website, there is an orange and black version, a black and blue version, and then a black micarta version as well, and those all run the same price. So no worries about price differences with your handle material choice, but you are going to be able to pick and choose what you'd like if they are available at retailers without having to worry about a differentiation in cost. Now, the one thing I want to say bad about this, I want to get it out of the way, because overall this knife performs just fine. There's no complaints about the performance of this knife, the way it feels in hand, anything like that. The thing I will complain about, though, is the strength of the button lock and the inclusion of a front flipper. This is something that, this is no hit to Vosteed in particular, or Wayne for that matter, but this is something that drives me crazy, and I've seen it happen a lot, especially on more budget-ended button locks. So I'm hoping this button lock craze kind of ends soon. I feel like I've been saying that for almost a year and a half at this point. But this is, you're getting leverage here that you don't have with a thumb stud. You're above the pivot, and you're able to apply force towards the pivot opposed to away from it. It's a whole different physics aspect here, and because of that, it's extremely easy to disengage. You can do this all day, whereas if you try and do it with a thumb stud, it kind of pops and wants to jump away from you. That's the D10, wanting to jump like that. It's harder to reset that and deploy it with your thumb, but up here you can just kind of move your thumb back and forth and it flies all over the place, making this a little bit light for front flipping. I found myself slipping off or just not liking the way it felt when it deployed. Unless you really catch this corner and pull down and in, even then that was a really weak deployment. I hate using the front flipper on this knife. If it had a much stronger, detent where that button lock is holding it in place, I think it'd be fine. But as is, I'm just really not a big fan of it. Whether you're reaching over the top with your pointer finger or you are kind of doing more of that lighter effect, it just doesn't deploy with the same violence is the word I'm going to use, but the same, speed and authority, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Doesn't really have that coming off of the front flipper the way it does from a regular thumb flick and a reverse flick. It's just much more substantial and firm when you do it that way, and I wish that the front flipper had some more strength to it. You can see how this knife fits my hand. We're a large size glove, and I can just get 4 fingers on here, so the handle's not overly large. Fits a little bit better in kind of a hammer grip here, but up in a saber grip, there is about half of a pinky on there. There is jimping, though it's not super aggressive. Again, like I said, I did slip off of the front flipper a few times when using this, and this jimping, it's not going to stop you from sliding up on this blade. If it was a little more aggressive, it would be nice, or don't even bother including it, honestly. There's thumb studs here, and it's flat in this whole area. I don't think the jimping carrying on past, this upper area where the front flipper is necessary. You can see just how far it goes down. Really only this area up needs to be jimped. And you could even wrap that around, because the way this button lock is designed is you can see there's no catchment for that button. It's all done internally on this ricasso area of the blade, or the tang area. I don't know what exactly to call it, but it's all done inside, so you don't see that button engaging with the blade in any way. So they could have carried that jimping on all the way through. You can see I missed the flip there. But, nevertheless, not my knife, not my design. So, who am I, right? Who am I to judge that? Because maybe he didn't think of it, but would have been nice to see. And if there's ever a V2, that would be quite nice to see incorporated. Other than that, really no complaints about this. It cuts just fine. It carries just fine. It's a little bit heavy at over 3 ounces. For what it is. It's not heavy in general, but for the knife you're getting, it has a little bit of weight to it. The steel liners, of course, don't help that. The skeletonization keeps it a little bit lighter, which is appreciated. The clip has recessed screws, which is nice if that's something that you really care about, especially if you don't want to fray the inside of your pocket or whatever, though the pocket clip will probably do more damage to the outside before the screws will on any knife. And for the lefties out there, this knife works just fine. Obviously, keep your finger off the button when deploying, and you'll be just fine. Or you can use the button to deploy like any other button lock. No issues there. Feels just fine in the hand. Not bad. Typical left-handed experience when using a right-hand only knife is kind of what I would chalk that up to. And that's about all I have to say. Big congrats to Wayne for getting this design out, and especially for selling out through Vosteed's website and potentially retailers as well. As I said, I didn't really look, but, huge shout out to him. It's not an easy feat to design something and have it do well, but he was able to do that, so congrats, Wayne. And, it's not a bad knife at all. I don't love the design, but I definitely don't hate it at all. And I hope that maybe down the line there's a V2 where you make some different choices, different improvements, maybe even a different locking mechanism, and please even more people down the line. So let me know what you guys think down below about the Vosteed Thornton here. And that's where I'm going to leave you. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.